to the stream, but it is part two of the 500 stuff. So yeah, hello everybody, welcome back. This is part two, and it will be the best part two episode here. And yep, I think I'm gonna be like disconnected too because of a bad internet. So yeah, here we go. So I'm just gonna say hi to the boys with barrels there, and we have Dark John Cruz. How you doing, dude? How you doing, boy? And we have killed the Axel against Tofu Soul, what do you call him? How you doing? How you doing, sir? Okay, good. Then I don't know what to do then. I think we're gonna talk about something. Or gonna react some videos instead. Part two will be like Roblox, because that's Roblox just one game. It's Fortnite. That's all, yeah, that's it. So yeah, we're gonna be streaming about like reactions or something. So yeah. And also I can get disconnected soon because of that. So, there's a lot of videos. So, and so I'm doing subscribe at best and like 7. Transfer videos this fun down. So I just didn't lock the doors though. Check my server for a second. Discord or someone's server just laptop. Hmm. Generally, and we have some new members here. If you have Discord, just like if you have Discord, then you can follow Discord. I didn't make about I didn't about me soon. So what I have a question. What is it? What is your question, Caleb? So what is your question though? Caleb, because of the sword. Hmm. Is there gonna be a part three? Yeah, there will be a part three this time Roblox, I hope. Maybe part four soon will be the last part, maybe. The part two will be the last, or part four will be the last, we don't know. So yeah, might the way it. What's going on there? Oh, the phone is full. I'll be updated the freaking shop. Be synchronized in Discord. Yeah, no problem. Oh my god, what's going on with the itch? Always itches. Ah, shit. only two people watching. Damn. Hold on over here. Exactly. Man in black. Shit. So we can man in black. What the shit? There's only 12 movies, that's it. Still now for the freaking series. So yeah, let's freaking mute the thing so that everybody can go. I don't know. I need goodbyes when I like that. Yes, there will be a part three. I know that. Oh, come on, one of them. I'll be back. Okay. What the fuck is going on with my voice? I think I'm going deeper. Won't be going. Oh yeah, Fall Guys. Fall Guys out of the jungle book, so I can get the monkey and the gorilla in freaking humans version. He's blue. Blue man. Blue man. Blue man. Blue man. Oh, good. They won't appear in the movie. So yeah. Holy shit! They on the freaking Marvel skins. Oh wow. Shit. And hello, Python. How you doing? Freaking Spider-Man don't even go on flips. That's on YouTube. Huh. I'll probably get my new phone soon, 2 weeks. Before I have the freaking Marvel skins back from the damn. Nothing, my eyes are burning because I swimming. Oh jeez, I don't like swimming underwater with my eyes. I like swimming with the mask on, so I can breathe. My vision is clearing up. Oh, so you're using glasses now because you jab it. The flower from a reaction video or something. Open the door. Well, yeah. Hope there is no door though. Or else I can strike it. Hey, what I need to pick I need to look that shit. Let's see item shop. No fucking way. No, no, oh, you don't use glasses, okay, then clean up your vision. Now I'm back. Oh great, this guy again. Oh my god. Freaking took a fucking time all this fucking troublemaker. I know it's the Atlanta, but this fucking guy in a timeout. He's a bad guy. Every time a bad guy takes a bad fucking timeout. So, what bad person I'm talking about? The next thing, sound like okay. Freaking sorry, 26. There's only hey, for you, what the fuck are I'm sorry about last year, but man, sorry for the boys just looking out the way. Got time out yet. So yeah, it's gonna take me 5 minutes. I wish I can count on freaking 100. Yeah, so you can't get so you can't get something. No, you see my boy Taylor thing. Okay, if you do that, then you get married. Oh, great, an ass.
All right. The
Yeah, no,
answers.
you
Yep, there
can
we go.
hear him.
Nightmare.
Hello.
Hey, welcome back, Nightmare. Hope you're doing well.
Doing good.
That's
Yeah, I'm
him.
sorry you didn't win the giveaway, man. But hey, I have it for Marcos.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some.
Yep.
I'm not too mad about it.
Don't worry, you'll win. Let me do a giveaway for 2 million. 2 million.
He's playing Mario Party game. He's playing. What's wrong, guys? Still, I'm not playing Switch. Oh, come on. No people joining. Shit. Fucking. Oh my god. It's a fucking sweat on it. Yeah. What sweat? Shit. No people over there on YouTube right now. Let's take out this freaking shark on a hot shit. That is sweat at the end. Come on. Anyone in there? Only one people. What the fuck? No one person. What the fuck? I see people. What the hell? Oh gosh, the worst. Oh, feeling. Because there's a fucking baseball behind. It's fucking distracting. I swear, if I get a spider on the freaking screen, not fucking screen. I'm not gonna show the screen though. Someone just snapped this, but the thing is that it's like, man, the freaking crazy thing that just oh, so he's trying to get different. And the movie when is made, but I have to remake that. So I find it looks good. It's only 21 minutes. Dang channels like the fertility. All I'm saying is going to get dark. Let's turn on for one. Watch some brothers freaking giant. What do you mean I'm gonna play? No, this is not gonna play. This reacting or telling questions about. We're gonna play Roblox tomorrow for sure. For part 3. Part 4 will be like the amount of your I gotta get away from the fucking gigabytes. Part 1 is just fucking 4. Only one thing. Oh, I'd be I'm back, god damn it. Welcome back, come on. How you doing? Is this normal? You mean normal? I was trying to find one, but I have one. So yeah, I watched this one. Introducing the line. Oh shit, not this fucking ad. Oh my god, it's 2 ads for freaking appear.
This weekend, the latest film in the Predator franchise,
Yeah.
Prey, dropped on Hulu. So today we're going to stop and rate all 7 Predator films from the worst to the best.
Okay, it's the
Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Share your ranking of all 7 Predator films. My list isn't the right list, it's just my list, and I would love to see yours. With that said, let's get started. Easily in last place is Alien vs. Predator Requiem. On paper, this should be a schlocky, fun mashup of the 2 title characters as they duke it out in the suburbs. In execution, it's a barely comprehensible, nihilistic mess. Superficially speaking, the movie is unwatchable, and I mean that literally. It's mostly at nighttime, poorly lit, with 2 black alien creatures in the dark, in the sewers, with close-ups and a bunch of quick cuts and intercutting in Predators like infrared vision, so you have no idea what's happening. You just kind of see the face of a predator and a xenomorph moving around, and you know there's action taking place, but there's no sense of geography. There's no establishing shots where you can understand what's happening and why. So you just see jumbled movement of stuff happening. You literally can't make out the action. So you can't even enjoy Alien vs. Predator as just a fun 2 creatures duking it out. Once you move beyond logical order, and while I understand that this is a horror movie, there's a shocking, but none of it's satisfying because it doesn't mean anything. It's just shocking images for the sake of being shocking rather than doing the hard work of telling a compelling story that has horrifying things that happen. It's just kind of gross when it does. And so this is a movie I don't really enjoy at all on any level. It doesn't succeed on any level. You literally can't even make out the action sequences. You don't care about the characters. It builds no tension and nothing pays off in a satisfying manner. It just doesn't work. Number 6, The Predator. Now, this movie was so disappointing because I was so excited to see what Shane Black was going to do with The Predator.
Well, why are you putting 5th? It's fine. It's the best. And you can see my list though. 7, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10%. Printer, that's so good. Look, what the fuck? Stop putting these freaking. Stop putting this movie in freaking 6 in the last place. That's so bad. You're all wrong.
Your franchise. Now, he was actually an actor in the original Predator. He kind of did some on-set punching up of the script just a little bit because he actually thought it was a good script. So he had long ties to the franchise, and of course, he has written and directed some great films. So when he was attached to this movie, I thought, man, we're probably going to get some fun characters, and he can come up with some fun action sequences, but it was always a messy idea for a Predator. In 5th place, Predator 2. I've always been pretty lukewarm on this movie. Like, I don't hate it or anything like that. It's fine when I rewatch it, but it's not a movie I ever gravitate towards. I only really rewatch it when I watch through the entire franchise. And I think that's largely because it always feels to me like a very generic late 80s, early 90s detective cop movie set in LA.
Yeah, what the
I mean,
fuck?
half the cast of this movie are plucked straight out of the Lethal Weapon franchise. Obviously, the story of this movie, but so many of the supporting characters are from the Lethal Weapon movies, and all of them feel like stock cop movie, detective movie characters, except for Gary Busey. He's the only one that has anything memorable that pops about them. I guess maybe Bill Paxton characters too also is memorable, but for the wrong reasons, because he feels miscast or he feels like he's in the wrong movie. So it feels like a generic LA detective cop movie just with the Predator in it. In which case, when it gets into all the investigation as to what's going on, it rings a little bit hollow because us as the audience have already seen the first Predator movie. So we know the answer to the mystery. The detectives don't, but we do. And so the genre of investigation detective story doesn't work if the audience knows, right, it's a Predator. Right, average Predator fan. I think I like Alien vs. Predator a little bit more than the average Predator fan. And I watched this movie as essentially big budget Alien and Predator fan fiction. And on that level, I have a lot of fun with it. They build out this whole weird mythology about the predators and xenomorphs having been on the earth for thousands of years, and the xenomorphs are part of this predator rite of passage, and tying it in with the pyramids across all the continents, and because that feels a little bit like Stargate. Some of the stuff at the beginning felt a little bit like Jurassic Park, and that's familiar, but it's such a weird mix of these creatures and some of these other sci-fi movies of the last from the 90s that it has a certain freshness because of that. Now, should it be PG-13? Of course not. It's weird to try and mass produce Alien and Predator movies for all ages. That's a weird thing. It always should have been rated R. But I don't think you lose that much by having not having a few F-bombs in there and not having a little bit more blood thrown at the screen. You're still able to have quite a bit of the violence because it's focused on the Predator and aliens, and so you can chop. Always really enjoyed. In a lot of ways, it's probably the safest possible Predator sequel that you could do, where you just take a different group of human killers, put them back in a jungle, and have them duke it out with some predators. Pretty safe, kind of. If we needed this, maybe we could have done something a little bit different here. Otherwise, I get a lot of Predator stuff that I
why is fucking on that?
that I like out of this movie. Our runner-up, Prey, the latest film in the Predator.
And it was fucking great. Very good. Yes. Film 2. Yes. Oh, hell no, I'm not missing it. Hello, Bubba Fett. How you doing?
Franchise, and a nice return to the basics and what originally made the first film so good without rehashing the original film. This movie is all about the hunt. It's very light on dialogue, and it's all about the tension, the brutality. It's all about hunters trying to figure out their prey on both sides, where I thought this was a very interesting, clever way to continue the franchise, deliver the experience that I want without rehashing the original. But coming in first place is the original Predator, one of the great sci-fi action horror films of all time. Virtually a perfect film that delivers everything that it sets out to deliver. And I think one of the biggest compliments that I can give this movie is that while it is one of the classic Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicles, it's maybe the only Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicle that I don't really think of as an Arnold movie. It works as a Predator film first. It just happens to star Arnold Schwarzenegger, and his stardom doesn't overpower what John McTiernan did with his storytelling.
Maybe.
And what it is, it's just a great story of an awesome group of mercenaries who go in on a mission. And early on, they are the best. They have everything under control, go in on the mission and slowly realize they're facing a predator that they don't understand. And you watch them slowly unravel as they try and use pure might to win. They try and use their classic tricks and traps to win. And they don't know how to beat this one. It's only because of Dutch and his ability to slowly understand and figure out the weakness that the predator has, that he's able to win in the end, and has to go full-blown primal to pull it off. It's just a great action movie, but it's also a great thriller that keeps you on the edge of your seat. The action is awesome. The thrills put you on the edge of your seat. Everything keeps you engaged, and it's a movie that's all about these two people trying to outwit each other. And by the end of it, it's so satisfying. It's so exciting. It's one of the greatest movies of all time. So without question, it comes in at number one. If you enjoyed this video, remember I've done a review series on the Predator films, and I've done a ton of these other rankings. You can check those out right down there.
I've had to say no a lot over the last couple of years.
Who's the alien movie?
With the release of Alien Covenant, I thought it was the perfect time to pause and rank all 8 of the Alien movies. The good ones, the bad ones, and the weird fanfiction-y Alien vs. Predator films. Now, this is not my...
Let's see. And it was fine, okay. It was pretty bad, though, so... It was good, this one, yeah. And this one was okay, and this one was alright. It was good, though. This one was very good. This one's a masterpiece. Ew, why this movie is gonna have a %? Let me go back. You see it only has 97%. I get wrecked movie. That's what you get 97. You get low back. And this one has and go back to 90, I think. Let's go back and see.
Opinion at all. My totally biased, very emotional opinion will be quite different from this list. I think only one of these actually lines up with my list. But before I give my opinion, how about you? Tell me your thoughts down in the comment section down below. This is going to be a lot of fun because opinions are so divided on this franchise as to what's the best, what's the worst. Where do the Alien vs. Predator films fall in? Is Prometheus awful or is it awesome? So many different opinions. Let's get a lively discussion down below because I know no one's going to agree with my list. It's so weird. It's so bonkers, but it is my list, so let's get started. Coming in number 8 is Alien 3. This is the movie I hate the most of any movie that has ever been created. Now, to be clear, this is not the worst directed movie in the series. This is not the worst written movie in the series. It's not the worst looking movie in the series. On a technical level, there's a lot here that's actually quite good. Of course, you've got David Fincher directing it, so on many levels, it works.
Man, this movie was okay for a moment. I mean, I like the freaking show. Like they changed the ending to bad. That's a good idea.
Really nicely. At the same time, it's kind of a dull film. It feels a little bit derivative, like they didn't necessarily have something new to add to it other than just like a bleak nihilism, which is a worldview that makes for kind of an unpleasant viewing experience. But then again, this is the Alien franchise, so that would all be forgivable.
Why is Alien first?
Except for the first 5 minutes, which to me are an unforgivable cinema sin, where they took the victory and the win of the previous film and then they erase it with just lazy, sloppy writing. Well, we got to continue on. What do we do? And they just erase the victory of the previous film. So as you can probably piece together, I love Aliens, and some of it is so much because of the victory, the journey they go on, and they're victorious. And they've had incredible losses. Almost everyone has died, but in the end, Ripley is victorious and saves Newt. And all the way the themes tie together.
My God, I don't like it at all. Like it's like the kid from freaking Elm Street. Fine. Don't like bound movies. Don't like bound movies that become heroes.
But this movie undoes all of that without a reason. All it does is that victory you felt, that success, we did it, erased.
The victory is erased, but good thing.
And that type of writing is the worst way to do a sequel.
Not the worst thing, it's the best thing to do a sequel.
When you make a sequel that makes the previous film worse, that takes the emotions that you felt that you liked, that made you love that film, and then the sequel does something that undoes it. It changes the world. It reframes. The sequel does emotions that you felt that you liked, that made you love that film, and then the sequel does something that undoes it. It changes the world. It reframes everything you saw about the previous film in a bad way. For that reason, I hate this film because I love Alien.
Nah. It was okay. I believe it wasn't okay.
Aliens so much that by doing what they did in the untangling of things and the changing of it so that it's not a victory, it's just, okay, you're going to sleep and you think you won, but you didn't. I hate that. Not a victory, it's just, okay, you're going to sleep and you think you won, but you didn't. I hate that.
I'm gonna lie, I like it.
And it's the fact that they let that slide through, that nobody went, this is a bad idea. We are undercutting what was accomplished in the previous film. We are
it's a good idea to make it
cheapening. We are ruining that person's creation with what we're about to do. I hate this film. Like I said, I can't even rate this movie because I would give it a 0 because I hate it more than any other film. But
no, I give it a 6. Wait, that? Oh no, it was 7 out of 10. It was good. Well, I mean, it was okay after this is like good, okay, though.
But at the same time, I know it's technically speaking put together properly, and so you could rate it obviously higher than a 0. But as for me, just what they did with the story is just so offensive to me. I view all of this stuff as fan fiction. It's not good storytelling. It's to do this sort of.
The story is mid, bro. The story is mid.
Cheap, kill everybody off stuff. So I hate this movie.
Nah, I think I like this movie, though. I guess it was a good, okay film. What the fuck? Fuck, I'm fucking yawning. What the shit? No, how am I hungry, though?
If you're a fan of the Alien series, you probably already have the Alien Anthology Blu-ray collection. If you don't, go check it out. Go pick it up. I got a link to where you can pick it up down below. The special features on it are phenomenal, and it has an extensive set of documentaries all about the making of Alien 3 that kind of explains how we got the movie that we got and all the ideas that they were throwing out there and how hard they were trying to come up with the story. I don't know how they came up with like the worst possible story they could come up with, but it's so fascinating. Like I find the documentaries on this far more interesting than the movie Alien 3. The making of the movie is more interesting than the movie itself. I watched those documentaries many times, and you've probably heard the rumors about like a wood planet, and that's what they were working towards. No idea how they ended up with this dull, bleak film. I got that link down below if you don't have it yet. Coming number 7 is Aliens vs. Predator Requiem. Now, I've never seen this.
This movie was worth it. Oh, why this bitch?
Seen this movie until about a week ago, and I watched it specifically to do this ranking video, and I'd heard rumors about how awful it was, how it doesn't work, how it doesn't make sense. I'd heard all of that stuff, but really the reason I hadn't checked it out is I'd read some descriptions about it on how there's like killing of pregnant women and babies and stuff, and I was like, that doesn't sound pleasant to watch at all. So I finally watched it, and Everything they said was correct. On paper, this movie sounded really interesting to me because it's a direct sequel to Alien vs. Predator. And the idea that the events of where that film ends with a pred alien popping out of the chest, then a group of aliens crashing in a small town. And so we have Alien vs. Predator on Earth in a city, military gets involved. On paper, that sounds like a great fan fiction film that I could just watch as schlock. And then you watch this movie, and it's actually not watchable because it's so dark. Every review you will see about this movie will talk about how dark it is, and it's shocking how dark this movie is. So, I mean, I was watching it on my laptop and my TV. Both have extremely bright screens. And I was trying to figure out, like, I can't see what's going on while watching this on.
That's a true thing you can see. It's a pain to see that. Dang, why does nobody look at the freaking screen?
Bright screens with the lights off. That's how dark this movie is. Then beyond that, it's edited just like to crazy levels. So you know how a lot of videos on YouTube, even some of mine, use the jump cuts where you remove all the spaces between sentences, and so it talks really fast, and it cuts to the next thing, it cuts to the next thing really fast like that. That's the way this movie is.
Okay, there's some. Okay, when a baseball's playing, I said, shut the fuck up. That's what I said. These fucking baseball players are annoying.
Edited with scenes, and so it feels like there should be like a little room to pause before the next scene. It just cuts right to this next thing, or even within a scene and an unwatchable. Coming number 6 is Prometheus. This movie, much like Alien 3, is professionally made, well directed, it's gorgeous, but the ideas in it I do not like. It's tough for me because
I like this movie though. It's a little bit though with the rip off alien. You know, it's a good movie though.
I don't know if I would have liked this movie a lot more if it had just been a standalone Ridley Scott sci-fi film, but because it's part of the Alien franchise, it really bugs me. I have big issues with this movie because on a simple, plain level, I don't want this to be the backstory for Alien and Aliens. This is so convoluted and feels out of place with those movies that it makes me hate it. Because what made Alien and Aliens so nice is the simplicity to them, and it was a lived-in world that I enjoyed going to, but I didn't need to know where the space jockey came from or how the aliens got there. I didn't need to know the answers to these. It was just a lived-in universe where there were dangerous things out there, and because of the way this story works, it ties in all of these thematic elements that I don't want tied into it, this idea of creators and creation and faith, and the creation turning on the creator and the creator turning on the creation and then developing a pathogen to end the creation that was then turned to by the creator's creation into a weapon against the creation. I mean, all that stuff that ties into this convoluted mythology of Prometheus and Alien Covenant that does not make Alien and Aliens better. It just makes for a weird backstory that it just feels really out of place to me. And so this movie's off-putting. And beyond that, just watching Prometheus, it's confusing to me as I'm watching it. I can't follow where it's going. And not because I felt like, oh, this movie's so smart and deep, I just need to stop and think about it. It just felt like bad storytelling where Covenant. Coming number 5 is Alien Resurrection.
This one was alright for a moment, I guess. It was also weird for a moment.
This is the first Alien movie that I saw in the theater, so maybe I have a little bit of a nostalgia to it, and I really liked it when it first came out. But kind of as time settled in, I started to realize this is a weird movie that feels out of place in the series. And clearly there was some behind-the-scenes issues in trying to figure out the tone and nature of the film that they were making. Now, if you just wrote the premise of this movie on paper, the idea that they cloned Ripley and to get the aliens and then the space station goes bad and they're trying to escape from it, that seems like a very interesting, cool, new addition to the franchise that takes it in a different direction and puts some new elements to it. The execution of that idea is so weird and bizarre and odd that it's hard for me to really like this movie, especially when it goes into the third act and it looks a little bit like Ripley screws an alien and then there's a newborn alien that comes out that's weird. It goes...
Skeleton. Oh, I really like this movie, man. we've seen the theater though. But no one was a nine, now we get scared when I was nine. It's just like first one about watching a TV and was pretty fucking good.
In of
I really like
all the movies, this has the biggest gap between those two things. So about half of this movie, when this is an alien movie that's set like as a spin-off out in that same universe where the aliens show up, I really dug that part of the movie. But then when it became a Prometheus sequel, I really didn't dig it. And for the same reasons that I didn't like Prometheus, this idea that the xenomorphs aren't just a creature out in the universe that we stumbled upon in this lived universe, but are in fact this engineered pathogen from the engineers that were passed down to our creation, David, who wants to kill his creator's creator and his creator, and therefore there's this being out in the universe. All that stuff, even as I'm describing it, I'm like, oh, seriously? I don't like any of that mythology. It takes away the magic of Alien and Aliens. It takes away the mysticism, kind of the secrecy. Like, I don't need to know where the eggs came from. I don't need to know where the space jockey came from. I don't need to know the exact origins of where these creatures came from. And because of that, those elements of this movie just really... Coming into number 3 is Alien vs. Predator. Now, I saw this movie when it came out in the theaters, and I hated it just as...
Which one of you has been eating all the Cheetos snacks?
It's a Cheetos thing.
Oh boy, none of that shit.
Just as much as everyone else did when it first came out. And much like its Rotten Tomatoes score, I would have scored it crazy low back when I first saw it. And then, I've rewatched it a few times over the years. Are good picks. At number 2.
But this one is a fucking masterpiece. It's a great masterpiece. And why do you put in second? Put in 1. Put in 1 right now. Put it wrong. 1 minute. When the movie comes out, change to 1 right now.
2, I have got Alien.
Really fucking. I fucking love this movie. The fucking classic and the best.
And so this, of course, is a classic sci-fi horror film by Ridley Scott that has created this whole universe. And it's difficult to understand just how revolutionary this movie is now because we've had so many movies copy it. We've had so many movies in this franchise. But looking back on time, it's like a shift into the modern era of sci-fi as you look at this movie, along with movies, of course, like Star Wars, that there's a shift in the way movies were made, the way stories were told, where science fiction and special effects were at, where you look at Alien and it like invented a new level of sci-fi horror that you could do, that you don't see before this movie came out. And so very much it's a simple premise, a simple idea of a group of people go out there, hear a beacon, alien thing gets on guy's face, alien bursts out of chest, and now we're fighting for survival. It's a very simple, almost slasher movie in space, told excellently, shot excellently, with great characters, great dialogue. It's taking a simple said, let's go to number 1.
Why? Horrible. No, no.
And that is Aliens. For me, this is a top 10 favorite movie of all time. For the,
More like top trashiest movie. Put this at this. And this. Put this at this. Put this at this. Then put this. And oh my god, those. Yeah, those go on those. And then put this at this. So what the put this at this. Put this at this. Put this at this. Put this at this. Put this. This. Oh my god, it's a lot. So let me put this into this. This part trash. Go put it there. Put this. This. Yeah. Put this like this. See? Put this. Put this like this. I'll put it like this. Yeah, what the fuck? This, that, this. Swing it. Swing it. 82 aliens. Swing the description. Aliens. And aliens. President in the OG.
Of all the movies I've ever seen, I think this do movie trivia with some other YouTubers, and it's a lot of fun. I hope you'll check that out. And as always, thank you for watching.
Scotiabank's Ultimate Package has unique rewards for unique people like Bob. Preferred mortgage rate helped him.
At Cheez-It, we test for the cheesy, crunchy satisfaction in every cracker.
This week, Spider-Man No Way Home finally hit theaters. This is the biggest movie to be released in 2 full years. So today we're going to stop and rank all 11 Spider-Man and Venom films from the worst to the best. Hi, my name is Sean. And I love to talk about movies way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comments section. Share your ranking of all 11 Spider-Man and Venom films. My list isn't the right list. It's just my list, and I would love to see yours. One more thing before we get started. This video is brought to you by NordVPN. If you're watching this video, it's probably pretty safe to say that you love to watch or you want to browse the internet. Gut-wrenching sequence in this entire franchise.
Man, I don't like this movie.
Franchise, but the rest of the movie is an overcrowded, tonally inconsistent mess.
Yeah, I like
Not impressed.
It's well documented that Sony had mandated a bunch of plot points to set up a Sinister Six movie that never happened. It's well documented that there were massive cuts and the movie was reworked in the editing room, including dramatically reducing Felicity Jones's role in the film, as well as cutting Shailene Woodley as MJ out of the film entirely. One of the big reasons for there being so many cuts to the film is that there were simply way too many subplots in this film. Like, the other big problem here is that the villains just weren't good. Rhino was a bad idea, executed even worse, where Paul Giamatti's just yelling, "Ah, Spider!" Then Electro has a story arc indicated that he didn't want to describe this film. Kicking off our top 10, Spider-Man 3. After the commercial and
Wait, let me check what about this. Let me go back in my Spider-Man list. It was good, though. It was good, though. I mean, people don't like it because it's execution. Oh my. Execution, yeah. Because of the execution. I feel like my Spider-Man list not clear. Got to all these back. Oh, still my Spider-Man 2. I glance of Japanese Spider-Man movies. mean, this one was good. Good opening for a moment. Good night. It should be.
Critical success of Spider-Man 2, the team was on a creative high, and I still think it's endearing.
Oh, this one was very good.
Every single time I watch the movie, I notice more and more things that don't work, that don't make any sense. But at the same time, I also like it a little bit more. I could nitpick this movie to pieces of everything that's wrong with it, but at the end of the day, actions or training.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
It's such a glaring oversight and bad concept that holds together on any type of story level.
What's that?
Change me. Next up, Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, this is
And there's a W.
a movie that hasn't
Just into War 2.
aged very well for me. When I first watched it, I thought it was a nice, fun, lighthearted follow-up to Endgame. Likewise, the cast, as always, are charming, and Jake Gyllenhaal is a bunch of fun to get to see him as both the fake hero as well as the hammy, over-the-top villain giving speeches. But it's a movie where the more I think about it, the less it holds together on any type of story level. The basic premise of this film is that Tony Stark left his dangerous, deadly glasses to a high schooler who had been dead for 5 years without any instructions or training.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
It's such a glaring oversight and bad concept that it just taints the entire back half of the movie for me. This is also the seventh frustrating. When it's a lighthearted road trip comedy with Peter Parker in Europe, it's a lot of fun and funny. The Mysterio illusion sequences, fantastic, creative, interesting.
To help start our big days, we fill up with mini weeds. Whether it's prepping for grandma's birthday,
Boy.
And it's also a very rewatchable film. It's easily the MCU film that beat Carnage. Now, to
This one was a very fat fucking masterpiece. And in the first one. Yep. 5 stars for it.
me, this movie was a significant improvement over the
This one was a film that yes, well,
the original, simply because it starts with Eddie and Venom together. What worked about the
no way shouldn't the Venom will be in the movie because family conflict. Yep. Maybe in the scene will show people.
original was that romance between Eddie and Venom, and this movie doubles and triples down on the fun of that odd couple relationship. The movie moves at a breakneck pace. To a fault, it cuts away any extreme Francisco. You do get to see a good bit of death, mayhem, and destruction. Likewise, it has a much more fleshed out third act. Spider-Man. After Sam Raimi's wildly successful trilogy, or at least 2/3 of a wildly successful trilogy, Webb and Sony had the difficult task of trying to figure out how to reboot Spider-Man in a refreshing way. They chose to take things in a more grounded, serious direction and delivered a good movie.
The last one, the last video, and the screen.
With 2 great leads, but I think it still struggled to
I
find
forgot to put the Spider-Man.
a way to stand out and justify why Spider-Man's origin needed to be retold just 10 years later.
But your father lived by a philosophy, a principle.
On one hand, this
was fine though.
is an unexplored area. Therefore, you buy into their relationship and how much they matter to one another. So it grounds the film. So when the fantastic things happen with Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy's dad dying, you really feel it because you care about the characters. It's a movie that, in 5th place, Spider-Man Homecoming.
And this one was decent though.
After the previous two franchises had told the origin story, the MCU version decides to just jump right in with him as an established Spider-Man, but the franchise also doubles down on the fact the movie is just a blast. Then we have...
Oh yes, the fans are winning and loving this movie.
Spider-Man No Way Home. This was a tricky one for me to score.
This one was fucking great.
Because as my friend Griffin Schiller put it, it's a tale of two halves. The second half of this movie is so good and so satisfying that when you leave the theater, you kind of forget that the first half was pretty mediocre. The first half of this movie just chooses this cheap gimmick to set things in motion.
Stop tampering with the spell.
Oh my God, Ned, he's my best friend. My Aunt Nation.
And then it spends the rest of the first half of the film with this pedestrian plot line about trying to capture all of the multiverse villains. I mean, it's enjoyable. There's some nostalgia and it's fun. Destination?
I mean, you put Infinity War and Endgame when you didn't Infinity War, but here.
Then the starting point and the journey to get there.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
But that destination, when we arrived, it put a bigger grin on my face than any other movie on this list. Spider-Man.
This one was good, though.
And 2. This movie does what all great sequels do. It picks
made everyone love this sequel.
Up where the last movie left off. It builds on that foundation. It expands upon all the themes, the character arcs that were set up before. But with the origin story out of the way, we're able to dig deeper into this character and really explore the tension in Peter, deeper into this character, and really explore as Spider-Man and desperately tries to save this train and collapse. In the process, and then the city grabs him, stands up to protect him, and they're going to protect his identity.
It's all right.
We won't tell nobody.
I just think it's a great sequence. Likewise, when you move into the third act and MJ finally animate the film ever seen. One of the most creative, unique, and interesting.
I think it was pretty good.
The animated films I
5 stars. And 4.5 stars. Like 1.5 is a 4.
Have
4 stars and a half. Oh, why?
Ever seen where they tried to find a way to animate the film in a way that
they made like the freaking No Way Home. It was one of those miracle versions. When they made the No Way Home, bring out the 2 actors. So yeah.
Brings the comic book material to life in a way that you can't really do.
I'm excited for the part 1 and part 2
with a live action film, in which case it takes full advantage of the medium by which it's telling the story. The style is used as a mechanism for the women in this film. Each of them gets their own little moment in the spotlight, something quirky and on this list. And the Tom Holland films are the high school MCU-ified version of Spider-Man. This is just a classic.
Oh yeah, this one was pretty fucking good. Probably the best
version of the Spider-Man character, told in a fairly timeless fashion, besides the soundtrack. Now, I love origin stories, and Peter Parker, Spider-Man have one of the great comic book origin stories.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
The other thing that just makes this movie work is how much time we spend with Norman Osborn. He gets a full origin story and character arc, so we can see how groundbreaking this film really was when it first.
The sign of the French people for John Austin. That's only for and
first came out. This was the first.
Like, oh my god. They're like, what happened to Yarn? What do you mean? No. What? You're gonna see that.
Comic book movie of the digital CGI age as we know it.
Yeah.
Now, X-Men and Blade kind of laid the foundation, but this was a huge, massive blockbuster, and the first time that they could make a movie where you could have Spider-Man swinging through New York City at incredibly fast speeds and have it be believable. I just think that this one was special. Therefore, it comes in at number 1. Remember, if you're interested in internet security, to check out that link down below to get a discount on NordVPN. If you want more Spider-Man content from me, you can check out my movie reviews right there, my other rankings right down there. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies too much.
Alright guys, I guess it's time to end this part 2 stream. Hope you guys are enjoying this stream. I don't know anybody. Hope you guys enjoy this stream. So you guys can see y'all in part 3. Yeah, bye bye. Bye bye.